And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we are talking about if the Washington Commanders should be interested in adding TJ Watt. And so, before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and many others for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so, in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we're looking at a hypothetical here. And just really, should the Commanders be interested in adding TJ Watt? And so I got a chance to look at this article on Commanders Wire, and it is talking about that very possibility. And within this article, it mentions, I think, a hypothetical trade in which you would send Terry McLaurin off to free up some space to get TJ Watt in order to go ahead and sign him. And so before we even jump into it, look, I am in the camp of not trading Terry McLaurin. I think that Terry McLaurin should definitely remain a Commander. I would like to see him end his career with the Washington Commanders, and I'm looking forward to a deal getting done. I think that with Terry McLaurin added to this offense or back to this offense is certainly going to take another step. And I just think that he is going to be a huge key for this team moving forward. So I'm definitely with keeping Terry McLaurin. But hypothetically speaking here, in looking at TJ Watt, so look, I think that TJ Watt is a dynamic defender. Make no mistake about it. Like, I think that he is certainly one of the best when it comes down to getting sacks. And I think that he's been incredible over the last couple seasons. 19 sacks in 2023. He had 11 and a half last season. But what I like most about TJ Watt and what he's able to do, which is really intriguing to me, it's his ability to force fumbles, because in those years, right, 23 and 24, look, 23 had four forced fumbles and then six forced fumbles in 2024. He's got a total of 33 in his career, and I believe he has 12 that he has actually recovered here. And so this is something that the Washington Commanders certainly would want. They want to be a defense that generates turnovers. And so that is the one thing that I would say is an upside with TJ Watt, especially when you look at all the noise around a player like Trey Hendrickson. Look, Trey Hendrickson, he's terrific at sacks and things like that. He's been terrific over the last couple seasons. We've talked about that before, at 17.5 sacks in 23 and 24. But when you look at the forced fumble rate, 14 compared to the 33 of TJ Watt. And so if I were going to trade for an edge rusher, it would be TJ Watt. Now, he's 31. He's in the final year of his contract. I think that he's in a similar situation as Trey Hendrickson, in the sense that they are trying to go ahead and secure a contract out there going into the final years of their deal. And so, look, I get the leverage that TJ Watt has, but I don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to want to necessarily let him go or budge on that. And I just think that with them adding Aaron Rodgers, I couldn't necessarily see that happening. And for the Washington Commanders, I think that they're in a situation where I think that they really should just go ahead and just run with what they have. I think that since I'm just seeing just what's going on with just all the OTA stuff, and then also to just reading and seeing what is going on from the mandatory minicamp and everything else, it just sounds like this defense is much more ready for the task ahead this season than maybe last season. And that's not to knock anything on last year's team or anything like that, but I do think that with a year under their belt, that was the first year, with that program. And you got to think about it like this. Look, the offense, they took off. The defense, unfortunately, it didn't take off as much as they would want it to. And I'm sure that, look, if they look back, they've already said that they want to be able to stop the run. They know that they have to be able to stop the run. And so that is something that they're focused on. And then I think that when it comes down to getting sacks and things like that, I mean, nobody saw that Dante Fowler was going to lead the Washington Commanders in sacks. And I think that the team can be just fine if you're going by committee. And so I think that that is probably the best bet for the Washington Commanders. And I think that when you look at Adam Peters and really how he has constructed the roster, he's done it in a way in which he doesn't leverage the future of the Washington Commanders, because right now we have players that are going to help us right now in the immediate, but he's also setting the team up, for more chances, more swings at becoming Super Bowl champions. And that's something that we haven't had with this team in quite some time. And so, look, I love the fact that Adam Peters is forward thinking with this team, and I hope that he continues to do so. And I just think that if you are looking at a deal for like a TJ Watt, especially, like, I think that that is going to cost the Washington Commanders some of their future. And I don't think that the Commanders would necessarily, or they shouldn't, I should say, go ahead and give up their future for the right now with TJ Watt, because yes, you would get him on contract for a couple seasons before you go into a negotiation with Jaden Daniels. But what about after that? And so I would much more be interested in this team continuing to organically build through the draft, and then also to continue to get the type of value deals that really you can bring a player in for that 1-2 years, something that doesn't necessarily financially hurt the team as far as the cap is concerned. And then also too, they're players that really fit with what the Washington Commanders standards are, and what the playing style is. And so I think that really the Commanders are in a great situation this season going in. And I think that, look, the defense is something that is going to surprise a lot of people. I think that Dedrick Wise Jr., Jonathan Jones, I think that Trey Amos is going to really shock some people as a rookie. I do see that Javon Kinlaw, I think that Javon Kinlaw is going to have a very good year. Eddie Goldman, I think that he's going to come in and be very good. Like, I think that this unit is really going to come together as one. And that's really what it's all about. It's about having a team of 11. And so I know, you get caught up with the star power and the individual play of a player. But make no mistake about it, when you're talking about a defense, it takes 11 players. And so I think that these 11 are going to be just a much better fit for what Joe Witt Jr. wants to do this season. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. Do you feel like that the Washington Commanders should be looking to go after TJ Watt? That is, if he were available. And remember, this is just hypothetical. There has been no talk or anything like that. It's just a ton of rumors, just like it is with Trey Hendrickson. But I thought it would be something that definitely is worth talking about, especially as this team gears up for the training camp. And, you're going to see just a lot of, articles, news about the defense and just where they are. But I just think that this defense is in a good place, and we'll see what happens once they get out of camp, once they get into preseason, and once they come out of preseason and get to week 1. We will find out if this Washington Commanders defense is a lot better against the run. And then also too, we will see how versatile they really are, because if they are this versatile as Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn really believe, and I think that they are, then they're going to be able to get to the quarterback in multiple ways and do it in like different types of schemes and things like that, as far as just the way that they come after you. So I should say pressures and all that stuff like that. But anyhow, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, look, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.